Hi guys, happy Monday. I hope you've had a great day. We're doing good here at Clear Path Medical in our clinic, just having fun, rocking and rolling, helping people get healthier and just taking care of them. So if you would like to work with us, just so you know, there's our email address. If you need a provider that will partner with you to help you regain your health or stay healthy and is invested truly in you and your family, give us a shout out at our email and we'll send you some information about working with us. My first announcement is Low Carb for Better Health. You probably guessed it. If you watched me, you know it's coming up. It is literally like a month away at this point. And I'm very excited. I hope you're excited. If you don't have tickets, please, please, please go get them right now because tickets are only on sale for 2 more weeks. And after that, I have to turn in my totals. So if you're not registered 2 weeks from today, I don't know that I can add you. So please go get your tickets. That's lc4bh.com. That's the website, the lc4bh.com. My next announcement is next week. Join me at 6 p.m., not 5 p.m. I am going to be with Robert Sikes or Keto Savage. We're going to be doing a live Q&A. So please come. Bring your questions. We want to answer them. And if you've ever been on one of Robert's lives where he's answering questions, you know he is a wealth of knowledge. His brain just, wow, all that he puts into bodybuilding, macro counting, fat loss, optimization of muscle mass, man. So bring your questions and answer. So today I'm going into a study. It's not going to take as long to get through. And the name of it is Effect of a Ketogenic Diet, Time-Restricted Eating, or Alternate Day Fasting on Weight Loss in Adults with Obesity. And it's a randomized control trial. This one was published in BMC in July of 2025. But I have to tell you, reading it, I felt like I had deja vu because I know that I've read multiple studies that almost look identical to this or that are slightly different and have just little different outcomes. But I'm telling you, the studies like this just continue to mount. But still, even though the studies like this are coming out, there's so many questions on the effectiveness of a low carb or carb restricted diet. Is it safe? Should I do it? Is it better than other diets for weight loss? You know, what's that look like? Well, I'm telling you, the evidence just keeps mounting and it's out there. And this one is just another one to lay on the top of that pile. So this is a 3-month prospective parallel group randomized clinical trial. What does that mean? So prospective of 3 months, meaning they're following individuals over the 3-month window. Parallel group, meaning they have groups that are all very similar. They've tried to match them to be equal to each other, and they give an intervention to each one of those groups. Randomized, meaning that they took their participants and divided them into the groups evenly without looking at them, kind of like putting their name in a hat and drawing them out and like, this one's for group 1, this one's for group 2. You're randomized. It's completely random. This study took place in Spain, so not done in the US, but it's done in Spain. They had 5 groups. The first group is the control, followed by the ketogenic diet, an early time-restricted diet, a late time-restricted diet, and an alternate day fasting. And we'll go into what each of those look like here in a second. The participants were followed during different windows. So they were enrolled over a period of time and followed for 3 months. And it was done between January of 2020 and March of 2022. So fairly recent participants. They had 140 people enrolled that completed the study. They started with a few more, but out of those that completed the study, there's about 140 participants. And these people were ages 18 to 65, and they had a BMI of between 30 and 45, meaning that they were in the clinically obese category. There was a long list of exclusions, and it had things like pregnancy. So if you wanted to get pregnant or you were pregnant, you could not be part of the group. If you had a known eating disorder, you couldn't be part of the group. If you had things like cancer or known heart disease, you couldn't be part of the group. It was pretty extensive. So overall, while these individuals in this group were obese in the BMI range of 30 to 45, they were fairly healthy. You know, they definitely got some insulin resistance, things like that, but you know, they don't have overt cancer or heart disease, things of that nature. All the participants, everybody, no matter what group they were in, received dietary counseling from a certified nutritionist. They all received written support materials on what their diet was supposed to look like and menus of what their diet was supposed to look like. In this 3-month period, they had 3 face-to-face connections with the nutritionist. They had 3 phone visits with the nutritionist. So at least twice a month, they were talking to, either seeing or talking to on the phone with the nutritionist. In between that twice a month, they were given an app to be able to message the nutritionist back and forth to ask questions. So lots of connection, lots of intervention. And other studies have shown that the more connection you have with your provider, the more touch points you have, the more likely you are to lose weight and be successful with that. Now, one thing I found was interesting is they put all groups, all 5, on a calorie restricted plan. And I think that's to kind of make them all similar in a way, to rule that out as why they could have lost weight. For example, in other studies or previous studies that I've read, the authors at the end would question whether or not the ketogenic diet was truly superior, or if they were just able to restrict more calories because they felt more full. And it was just because of the calorie restriction, not necessarily because the ketogenic diet was superior. So in this one, all groups, including the control, were put on a calorie restricted diet of about 600 calories in calorie deficit. So let's look at what each of those different groups look like. The first is the control group, and they were placed on a Mediterranean diet. And the Mediterranean diet has been publicized and studied and applauded, saying it's great for cardiovascular health and it's the diet that everybody should be on. It's the most healthy diet, whatnot. So that was chosen as the control group. In this Mediterranean diet, the carbs were at 45%, the protein was at 20%, and the fat was at 35%. They were told to eat 3 meals in a 24-hour period whenever they wanted to eat them, but these meals had to come up with that calorie restriction and had to fit within those macronutrient things. The ketogenic diet, on the other hand, had 5% carbohydrates, so going from 45% carb down to 5% carb. It had a 30% protein, so slightly higher than the control, and a much higher fat, 65% fat. They were also told to eat their meals whenever they wanted to, 3 meals in a 24-hour period. However, the authors chose to supplement the ketogenic diet with 1 meal replacement a day. And this was just a commercially prepared meal replacement. It didn't say what it was. I'm just assuming something like a Premier protein. And at first I was like, why are they doing that? Why can't they just use food like they use in all the other ones? That seems like it would make it more fair. And I do think they should have not done a meal replacement, but I think it just made it easier. It made it easier to hit that calorie deficit because fat does have more calories in it than carbohydrates and protein does. So I think it just made it easier for the individuals since they were signing up for a 3-month study. But let's keep going. So the 2 time restricted windows, there was an early time restricted and a late time restricted. The early time restricted was given an 8-hour window between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. So they ate more like breakfast to early dinner. Still 3 meals, same composition as the control groups. They were eating a Mediterranean diet composition, but in a shorter window of time. The late time restricted, they also had an 8-hour window, but it was from 2 p.m. until 10 p.m. So they ate their meals later in the day, still 3 meals a day, and the same composition as the control group or the Mediterranean diet that was there. Then there's the alternate day fasting. So what they did here is they had 4 days a week where they essentially ate like the control group, so the Mediterranean diet. And then 3 days a week, alternating between those 4 days, they consumed 400 to 800 calories only. Like that is the max of what they would consume. And they also gave them a meal replacement, or they gave them these meals in the form of meal replacement. So basically 3 days a week, they would consume nothing but meal replacements to a maximum of 400 to 800 calories that day. Let's go over the results. Surprise, surprise, everybody lost weight. Everyone in every group lost weight. But the question is, who lost more? Well, let's divide it down. The control group lost, on average, 8.4 kilograms. The ketogenic group lost, on average, and this is, the highs and the lows put together, 11.9 kilograms. The early time restricted, 9.4. Late time restricted, 10.6. And alternate day, 11.8. So overall, your ketogenic diet people lost the most weight on average, followed by your alternate day fasting and then the late time restricted, early time restricted, and then last would be the control group or the Mediterranean diet. So all interventions caused more weight than the Mediterranean diet alone, which isn't surprising to me when you add an extra intervention on top of a baseline. But you see there are some clear winners there, the ones that make you fast the longest amount of time and the one that restricts your carbohydrates the most. A couple of other interesting findings is that all of the diets had reduced fat mass. However, the alternate day fasting group lost more fat mass, which really lends to fasting being a great tool for weight loss, really when you're looking for those major composition changes. I mean, it was 0.1 or so difference between total fat loss between it and the ketogenic diet, but you saw more fat mass loss when you did the alternate day fasting that was there. And it wasn't even a true fast. They just had 2 days a week where they did very minimal intake, got the calories really, really low. This finding I like, and I love that they put it here. And it was that there was no difference between the groups in the cardiometabolic risk factors at the end, meaning one didn't necessarily decrease it or increase it more than the other one. Why is that important? And you're like, Amanda, that sounds like a bad finding, not a good finding, because it didn't show that keto was superior. That's not the point. The point is the Mediterranean diet has been hailed as the diet to put on the podium that everybody should be on, and that everybody should thrive on this diet because it gives you all of these benefits, including cardiometabolic risk factors, more so than all of the other things. And that's just not seen to be true, that the ketogenic diet in this case showed the same cardiometabolic risk factors. What's actually interesting is when they took the groups out and looked at the ones that lost the weight more, they actually had better cardiometabolic risk factors on the ketogenic diet than they did the other diet. So when you're looking at just the ones that lost the most weight, those risk factors had improved over the ones that had lost the most weight in the other ones. So it's saying that the ketogenic diet or the low carb, carb restricted, high fat diet is just as safe as this diet that we've been hailing as the end all be all top for years now, being superior to everything else. It's not showing superiority here in this study. Now, I do think this study should have been taken out longer, not 3 months, because in 3 months, most of us can kind of work our way through. We get excited about it and we're going to push hard. But what I find is that 3 to 6 months, when you're restricting calories a lot, the ketogenic diet starts to become superior. Now, this is me talking, not the study talking. This is my clinical experience as a weight loss clinician, is that when individuals are eating a carb-restricted diet with a more than sufficient protein amount, their hunger is controlled more, so they're able to maintain that diet longer just because of the appetite control there. So that's where I think you'll start to see the differences in the diets come out. Are we going to continue to be able to fast on alternate day things or keep our calorie amount so low on a Mediterranean style diet compared to the ketogenic diet? I've not seen the same effects. Now, still have positive effects with Mediterranean style diet. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that's not true. I'm just saying in my clinical experience, I've seen when hunger is controlled better using the ketogenic diet, that individuals are able to stick to it longer. I hope you enjoyed this study. I hope it gave you a little bit of that, oh yeah, I'm on the right path. I'm choosing the right thing. I'm not putting myself in a dangerous situation by doing it. This is just another one of those studies to put on the top of that mountain of evidence that has been coming up for several years now. Next week, remember, join me at 6 p.m., not 5 p.m., with Robert Sikes or Keto Savage. He is a ketogenic, all-natural bodybuilder. He also coaches individuals. So if you have questions about diet, exercise, macros, fat loss, things like this study, bring them. We want to answer them. So please join us next week at 6 p.m. on my YouTube and Facebook channels. I'll probably also have it on Twitter. And get your tickets for Low Carb for Better Health. Literally 2 weeks away. Robert and I both want to see you there. Dr. Barry and I want to see you there. Nisha wants to see you there. The PhD coaches want to see you there. We are so excited to host you and to get you information and to connect with you. Don't miss out on this opportunity. We've got 2 weeks left to sign up. That's at lc4bh.com. So that's lc4bh.com. Join us then. All right, guys. See you next week.